The Warrior Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program welcomes you home to California State University Stanislaus and to Stanislaus State's Champions of the American Dream, honoring our 2024 esteemed recipient, Ann Endsley, and also recognizing our inaugural Emerging Student Champion, Mr. Bradon Hoover. I'm Dr. Pablo Paredes Romero, and I should have been here for sound check because this doesn't really go as high as it should. And it's my honor to greet you this evening in the celebration of leadership and legacy. I'm honored to serve our students as lecturer in the School of Management, Operations, and Marketing at the College of Business Administration and as Porges Champions Faculty Fellow for the Warrior Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program with the servant leadership of Dean Terrence Petra. The best part of what I get to do, the center of everything that brought me to this second career in my life, is that I get to do things. I get to accompany our students on their journeys. That's it. That's the job. And tonight, I'm honored to be hosting our event this evening. We want to formally and with great respect acknowledge that we are on the traditional lands of the Yokits Nation. Our campus, Stanislaus State, is built on the unceded ancestral lands of these indigenous tribes. Thank you for letting us honor them and give our thanks to their ancestors and descendants for their constant and careful stewardship of this land. The champions of the American dream first came to Stanislaus State in 1997. Inspired by his experiences at the University of Denver, where local business leaders spoke to interested students of their trials, their tribulations on the road to success, Norm Porges established and trademarked the Champions of the American Dream program during the tenure of Stanislaus State President Emerita, Dr. Marveline Hughes. With the intent of showcasing outstanding leaders for the benefit of your university students, the program recognizes individuals in the Central Valley who've distinguished themselves by both success as leaders in business, entrepreneurship, the arts, or nonprofit organizations, and who demonstrate an exceptional and consistent record of engagement and giving back to Central Valley communities. The Champions of the American Dream returned to Stan State in 2018 and was revitalized under the leadership of President Emerita Ellen Jun and presented by the College of Business Administration. Joining us this evening are several of those outstanding individuals who have been distinguished as Champions of the American Dream honorees. If you would, please stand when I call your name. Marion Cadden. Joe Duran. Mary Ann has graciously agreed to facilitate tonight's fireside chat with this year's honoree. And Mr. Norm Porges, the founder and past president of Prime Shine Inc., and leader of Champions of the American Dream. Thank you for being here and for your many contributions that uplift our communities. Please give our champions another round of applause. We're going to hear about some amazing people this evening, and I'd just like to start by recognizing the moment. I greet you on an evening of recognition and celebration, of legacy and possibility in one transcendent moment. As transcendent as the moment that that person, midstream, in a life perhaps less empowered, less resonant to their own imagination and sense of future self, less fulfilling, perhaps in service of safe harbor for a vision not yet realized, for fear of lack of support or self-doubt, decides to do something. To not sacrifice progress at the altar of process, to go for it, to dare to start something, to change a world, theirs and ours. And tonight, for the first time in the storied history of this truly exceptional honor, conceived in honor of enterprise and dedication to the proposition that if given the opportunity, all things are possible for all people. In a dream so big they named a couple of continents after it, America, that they could and they would. Our honorees this evening can, did, and are. With names like Porges, Duran, Cannon, Costa, Mayol, Beard, and Boyette, this award, this honor, is the captured story of a moment in time. Its own monument to so many small moments defined by perseverance, grit, and a refusal to say, I'm done. No more. You win. These are the moments that we celebrate. The victories, the champagne baths. Not that there's anything wrong with champagne baths. They're actually wonderful when you think of it. No, we're not here to honor those. We are honoring the moments of that doubt, of the sleepless nights' journeys in today when all was uncertainty, where the only words in your mind were, am I doing the right thing? Did I make the right choices? What if I fail? Champions win these battles, yes. Arms raised, bloodied but unbowed, often in the service of something much nobler and larger than the fighter, her, or himself. They enter this arena we know as enterprise, in a battle for causes larger than they, for their families, for their communities, for the fire they carry within them. Tonight, we honor two remarkable individuals writing very different chapters of the great American novels of their lives. And though their passions, their projects, and places in time are unique to them, this much is certain. Their lived experience, their written pages hold so much to celebrate, so much from which to learn. When I had the pleasure of meeting Ann Endsley in the lead up to these festivities that include tonight and next week's Warrior Entrepreneurship and Innovation Fair, I felt a pervasive sense of calm. I grew up on an island, Puerto Rico, and I know that power well. It's the kind you can only know when you encounter still ocean waters. They roll hither and yon, resplendent in their peace, but also for their depth. Its power need not announce itself. Forces of nature inspire such admiration. As she spoke, she wove the tapestry of her life in business, and her business in life, with the grace that you will enjoy firsthand in a few moments this evening in the company of a fellow champion of the American dream, Marion Cannon. When Ann left, she did so with a grace that left me with a wistfully warm feeling, as though I had met someone I wouldn't forget. The way people who never overstay their welcome always leave people wishing she'd stay a little while longer, and somehow, almost mystically, leave behind perhaps to comfort you some of the happiness that they brought with them. And Endsley. When I first met Bradon Hoover at the Fab Lab at which he worked here on campus, I got to see how he worked with other students. His expertise always stood out, but there was something about him as a person that spoke to an outsized internal light. There was something unique about him among his colleagues. Many, many summers ago in a different life, it was part of my career to identify the outliers. Call it a quirk in the plot. I saw and openly complimented a photo on the counter in the Fab Lab of an open field here in the valley, black and white. The composition was remarkable. The eye of the photographer, I thought, would have to be. A barren field bathed in sunlight, abandoned but for the light and the sun that warmed it, as if to comfort it, as if to tell it that hope could spring anywhere, despite apathy or inertia, despite seeming intransigence or endless devotion to traditions long past their utility. You see, it spoke to me in the silent language of art. In short, I was moved. He handed it to me as a gift, he said. When I asked him why, to a man he just met 10 minutes ago, he simply said, because you liked it. It's framed in my office at home. It's among my most treasured memories. And that's how I met the extraordinary Bradon Hoover. Tonight, as we honor these two remarkable individuals, I ask that you do one thing and one thing only. That after the wine is sipped, the picture's taken, and uploaded for social media society, because if we don't, it didn't happen, right? That you remember there are 17,000 other could-be Ann Endsleys and Bradon Hoovers right here at this institution that need you to send the elevator back down. Not with a handout or a capitulation to perceived entitlement, but with your time. An email response, a piece of advice, a cup of coffee, and a shared story. Because here's the thing, it means the world to them. A world that, even as these words leave my lips, lives in possibility and just within the reach of your legacy. Ethan, Mark, Biblina, Sergevon, Bradon, and get all of these people. Sorry, Chui, Brenda, Tania, Eva, Marianne, Monica, Kirill. Please stand, guys. Dr. Porges, assembled champions of the American dream, your example, your legacy is alive in them. Don't forget them. It will be among the finest things you ever do, I promise you. And now that the heavy stuff is over, I'd like to bring to the stage, please, this individual. Bradon Hoover, 30-year art major at Stan State from San Diego. He is vice president and treasurer of the art club at Stan State and chief marketing officer of the We&I Group. He is using his experience to help launch his high school makerspace at the Stan State Warrior Fab Lab, to start the Hoover Workshop Company, and by opening a makerspace in the Turlock area. He is committed to using his broad range of experience to elevate his peers by creating jobs and promoting education in his field. Please welcome to the stage, Mr. Bradon Hoover.
Well, to follow that fantastic speech from Dr. Romero, I swear I just forgot my allergy medication this morning. But this award is an honor, and I'd like to start by thanking the people without whom I'd never receive it. Dr. Romero for nominating me and being the best mentor one could ask for. The members of the We&I Group that are here today, representing our organization in the shirts that Biblina and I made them. Thank you guys for coming. They're an amazing group of peers, and it's an honor to work with them. And if you want to know more about what they and I do, you just scan the QR code on their shirts and join us on the 8th for the We&I Fair, or pick up an invite at the end of the ceremony. I'd like to thank my family, who traveled 500 miles from San Diego to be here. My brother, who's taking time off from school and always looks up to me. My stepdad, who's taking time off from work and helped raise me when my biological father never did. And my mom, who raised me all on her own for the first 7 years of my life, and who survived spine cancer and thyroid cancer to be here today. I'd like to thank everyone in the audience for your support. It is your encouragement and affirmation that drives me to pursue my passions. It is humbling and awesome to be recognized alongside Endsley for this award, and I thank her for sharing the spotlight. Her work in the Central Valley is highly impressive and echoes many of my core values. She is a role model for aspiring entrepreneurs, as I hope to one day be in the same regard. I want to conclude by assuring you that this award is more to me than a trophy. It is a symbol of the care and belief my peers and mentors have in me, and that's the real honor of tonight. It acts as a significant marker for the integrity of my character. When I tell people of this recognition, I hope it builds in them a fraction of the trust and respect that you all have in me, and I hope that in doing so, I can convince them of the legitimacy and value of my endeavors. By being recognized as Stan State's emerging champion of the American dream, I hope to champion our future and elevate everyone around me as you have elevated me. Thank you.
6:20. Made it to 6. It's a lie. Now it is my distinct pleasure to introduce a dedicated advocate for academic excellence and student success, Stanislaus State's Provost and Vice President of Academic Affairs, Dr. Richard Ogle. A clinical psychologist and professor of psychology with more than 20 years of experience in higher education, Provost Ogle joined the university in 2021. Born and raised in Southern California, he is a first-generation college graduate and champion for innovative programs and an inclusive approach to learning that which ensures every student's success. Would you please join me in welcoming Dr. Richard Ogle.
Wow, how amazing. It's in moments like this where I realize what some people might argue is a truism about academic administrators, and that we are functionally useless. I really do not need to be here other than to welcome you and dial in on a couple very important points, but there is absolutely no way that I am going to capture the energy or the emotion or the love that I heard in Pablo's remarks and Bradon in your remarks. First of all, I need to know where you got that suit. And second of all, as it was said, I was born and raised in SoCal. I am a San Diego boy, born and raised in El Cajon, so go San Diego. As I'm speaking to you off script, I'm gonna open my cue book so I can pay attention to what I'm supposed to be saying. And so again, I wanna welcome you tonight and wish you a very good evening. And on behalf of Interim President Sue Borrego and the entire Stan State community, I want to thank you for being here for tonight's 2024 Champions of the American Dream celebration. This is an opportunity for us to celebrate the spirit of entrepreneurship, innovation, and community. Now, at heart, I am an academic, and academics like words. And so as I was reflecting on our time here tonight, I was thinking of the title of the program, Champions of the American Dream. Now, if you look it up in the dictionary, the word champions has two definitions. The first definition is one who stands above and beats all rivals in a competition, the winner. Right? The other definition, and perhaps more appropriate for tonight, is someone who argues for, fights for individuals for a particular cause. And that definition is the definition that feels alive and well in this room tonight. Our two honorees, both our inaugural student and our main honoree, are examples of both these definitions. It is easy to see when we look at the successes of their life that they have clearly won. Okay? But more importantly, not only are they just champions in our community and within our community, they are champions for our community. And that is really what we're here to celebrate tonight. So let's give them another big round of applause. Now, it's also my job in these few minutes that I have the podium to thank a lot of folks who are operating behind the scenes tonight, who've made this possible, not just to get tonight off the ground, but as Pablo said, who have made this celebration and its time at Stan State possible. So I would like to take a moment to thank the following folks for their role in organizing and sponsoring tonight's event. I'd first like to start off with our College of Business Administration Dean, Dr. Terrence Petrie. And as you've already gotten a chance to meet already, our Master of Ceremonies, our Porges Champions Faculty Fellow, Dr. Pablo Paredes Romero. And none of this would ever happen so well if we didn't have the fine folks of the Division of University Advancement here helping us out tonight. And as we've mentioned before, the Porges Family Foundation, and their tireless advocacy for this community and our university. Now, as has been said a couple of times, the Champions of the American Dream would not exist without Norm and his son Evan and the Porges Family Foundation. Norm is the visionary who created the Champions of the American Dream more than 20 years ago. It was through Norm's perseverance and strong support that we were able to bring it back, as was said earlier, in 2018. Norm and Evan keenly understand how students, faculty, emerging entrepreneurs, and community members benefit from hearing inspirational community leaders who have navigated the journey of developing and launching new businesses and nonprofit organizations. In 2021, the Porges Family Foundation made a $250,000 gift to Stan State to establish the Warrior Entrepreneurship Initiative, a comprehensive initiative designed to inspire, strengthen, and grow a robust culture of entrepreneurship at the university and throughout the Central Valley. In addition to the Champions of the American Dream, the Warrior Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program includes several components, all of which are designed to build entrepreneurial opportunities that will contribute to the Central Valley's economic development. Norm and Evan are exemplary leaders who passionately believe in paying it forward, generously giving back to the community. As we all in this room know, we are indebted to them for bringing to life this ambitious program. Norm, and please extend to Evan, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts for your passion, your creativity, and your generosity. Thank you. And again, thank you all for joining us as we celebrate the 2024 Champion of the American Dream honoree, Ann Endsley, and our emerging student honoree, Bradon Hoover. Thank you. Pablo?
You know, I actually knocked the virtues of the Q book and took a laptop instead, but I'm starting to look at the tabs and think this is probably a better idea. This is a real honor. I'm honored to introduce our moderator for this evening, Marianne Cannon. Hold on a second, we scrolled down wrong. Apologies. Technology doesn't always win. Second verse, same as the first. This is a deep honor, and I mean this for many reasons. Number one, she is one of our esteemed board members for the WE Advisory Board. When I first came to an event related to the Warrior Entrepreneurship and Innovation Initiative then, I came to an award ceremony. I came to this very event in 2019, in 2020. And I saw, 2022, I saw Marianne Cannon for the first time and saw her story. So it's my honor to introduce her as the moderator for this evening. Marianne Cannon is a first-generation Assyrian American, born in Iraq. She migrated with her family to Canada from age 7 and then the United States as a high school student. After graduating from UC Davis, Marianne began a career that spanned broadcast journalism, public affairs, and nonprofit management. In 2012, Marianne joined Stanislaus Community Foundation as its president and CEO. She was also distinguished as our 2022 Champions of the American Dream honoree, and she currently serves, once again, on the advisory board for the Warrior Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program, an honor for which I thank her profoundly. And of course, I'm honored and humbled to introduce our 2024 Champions of the American Dream honoree, Ann Endsley. Ann is the owner, no applause yet. Ann is the owner of the event collection, here we go. Ann is the owner of, ready? The event collection, Greens on 10th, Underground Kitchen, Gather. She has enjoyed a multifaceted career and built an extensive and diverse business portfolio over 3 decades. In the 1980s, she founded Integrated Syndication Systems, Inc., offering consulting and real estate syndication. Our firm also developed software to automate investor relations data, investor communication, and tax reporting. She raised capital for real estate, agricultural and medical projects in the Central Valley, including the Cardiac Catheterization Center at Doctors Medical Center, the Modesto Imaging Center, and the Modesto Cancer Center. In 2007, she expanded into agriculture, centering around local food projects with 4 season farms in Modesto, a certified organic farm in Modesto. 3 years later, she established Greens Market, a specialty food market highlighting local organic produce. She created Underground Kitchen, which provides Greens' extensive menu in a meal delivery format. In 2018, Ann launched the Event Collection, a full-service rental company that serves the greater Central Valley area. In 2019, she further diversified by opening Gather, a showroom for the Event Collection and a venue that offers various educational programs for adults and children. Ann is passionate about helping people live their best lives and giving back to the community through service. Would you please join me in welcoming Mary Ann and, of course, our 2024 champions of the American Dream Honoree, the incomparable Ann Endsley.
Wow, that was like poetry, Pablo. I love that. I could have listened to that all night. I loved it. Hi, Ann.
Hello there.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm looking
Good.
forward to this conversation.
Me too.
And not all the questions are rehearsed. So there's a lightning round, which I heard a lot of the Stand State people are like, oh, we don't know about a lightning round, but we're going to do it. So I want to start, and when I look at entrepreneurial folks, creative folks, there's usually the strand of that creativity, that DNA is imprinted from the beginning. And it's really related to their childhood. And that story is so woven into what they choose to do later in life. So let's start at the beginning. Tell us about your early childhood, your family of origin, and what you remember about growing up.
Right. Well, I actually was very lucky. I came from a wonderful family. My parents were soulmates. I saw a great marriage. And they were the kind of family that basically would tell you there's nothing you can't do. The world is just your oyster, and you just have every opportunity. So for those of us who are parents, that's a really good, solid way to start and kind of embed that in your children, because I really did grow up thinking that all things were possible. My dad was a very important person in my life. He was really my mentor, and he led just a very humble, but just really beautiful life. He passed away at 55, so we lost him really early, but he instilled in me just the ethic of hard work, and also, as Dr. Romero said, my dad took the elevator down every day and took everybody up with him every day. So that really stuck with me. It's hard for me because I, really miss him, and he was a huge part of my life, but he's kind of what drives me on. I kind of want to finish the job for him. So that had a huge impact on how, I kind of have gone forward.
I love that. And I think sometimes those of us that experience loss transmute it into something else, right?
Absolutely.
So I love that. And so those of us that even now in the audience are experiencing something, know that as hard as it is, there is no such thing as you can turn it into something else and still
Absolutely.
grieve the loss.
Yeah. But feel, I feel like he empowered me I saw that example, and I wanted to keep that going. So it pushes me almost every day.
It's
really.
like a superpower, really,
It is
right?
kind of, yeah. So I'm so grateful for that, yeah.
I love that. So tell us then what you studied in college. Tell us about the young Ann Endsley. What was your maiden name?
So my main name was Furbush, so that was an interesting
wow.
name. Yeah, so that was,
Furbush?
So I was very
That's-
excited to get married near that name. Yeah, that was a very
Furbush.
interesting name.
I don't know if
so,
that has
yeah.
the same ring, Furbush.
Yeah, you
Okay.
give your card to people, and they're like, wait, are you?
It's memorable.
And so I went to Berkeley. So there I am in a 300-person lecture hall and get called on, and 299 people go, like, who has that name? So yeah, so it's an interesting name. Yeah. But no, so I went to, I was raised by Catholic nuns. That's an interesting story. That we could spend the whole night on that. But I ended up going to Berkeley, and many people would think, well, what did you major in? It must have been business. No, I majored in medieval English history. So the history of medieval England. So Do we have some?
Medieval English history.
The history of
getting
medieval
literature.
England. And my
Yeah.
parents, another thing they did, which was wonderful, was they did encourage me. They said, when you go to college, study something you love and something that's really interesting to you, because the rest of your life you're going to be learning your trade and your job and your business. So that was great advice. So I loved England and I loved history, and so I decided to focus on medieval English history. And then I was always very interested in law and always thought I would probably go to law school. So I ended up doing a double major in a program at Berkeley called Legal Studies, which was relatively new at the time, and it was kind of like a pre-law major. But then what I did with my medieval history major was I studied the history of English common law and how that evolved into American law. And then that's when I had the opportunity to study at Cambridge, because one of my professors at Berkeley had taught there. And so anyway, I loved that whole medieval history piece, and it was fun. So it wasn't super practical, but there was a little method to the madness with law school.
And it doesn't have to be practical, right?
Right.
It was about following your passion,
Correct.
which again, all creative people just do. So you were
Yeah.
practicing that from day one. I love that. So tell us how you went from medieval English, literature and history to commercial real estate and
Yeah.
investment banking.
Yeah, so this is a tip for all the students out here. Okay, so I have this crazy major and maybe a little legal studies work in there, which maybe was practical, and I intended to go to law school. So because I went to school in England for a bit, I got ahead units, and so my senior year, I ended up going and just interning for a real estate investment company in San Francisco, just volunteer work. So that's really, when I look back on my life, that's what really helped me get where I am today, really. I mean, I can go right back to that, because there was a lawyer in San Francisco who practiced real estate law. He was starting a brand new real estate investment company. I happened to find out about him, knocked on the door, said, I'd like to just volunteer my time. I've got 3 days a week that I can give to you. And they actually put me in a conference room updating like the legal books, like page 1,331 replaces page 1,200. I mean, it was like the worst, job ever in the history of the world. But I was in their office and I saw how things were going, how things worked and like what people did. And like, I just was I was observing everything and just absorbing that. And one thing I want to say, because, I'm just so happy there's so many students here, like, when you're young and you're not sure what's going on, you think this is going to be so hard and like everybody's really smart and everything. And I can remember sitting there going, this isn't that hard. Like, I can totally do this, Like, I don't know what the big thing is. Like, I feel like I could like kind of come to work for real here, So so I really encourage people, when I'm chatting with young students and that type of thing, to really consider the intern route, because it gets you in the door and it starts to your stress level, and you start to look around, you're like, my gosh, I might be able to actually fit in and contribute, to this cause. So I think that's a really...
Yeah, like you with the medieval English, I was a rhetoric major.
Okay,
so I was like,
yeah.
what am I going to do
Yeah,
with this?
exactly,
Right?
yeah.
And I interned in radio and radio
Okay.
news, and Pablo mentioned, and so I had the same feeling when I started in radio. I'm like, oh, everybody else is I'm just as smart as them. I can do
this, yes.
Because at first I was, what am I going to do with a rhetoric major?
Right.
Medieval? Yeah, it's so removed.
Right.
But there's a lot to be said for
Yeah.
internships. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So you got involved in the real estate
I did.
industry, obviously, and was very successful. So what brought you to Modesto? Because you were still in the Bay Area at that time, right?
What ended up happening there was interesting. So I graduated on whatever the Saturday was, and Monday went to work at this company, and then really had a great mentor there who really taught me the business. And then that person ended up leaving, and they didn't just rush in to fill his position. So here I was, like in my early 20s. And I kind of had been doing, I was his assistant, basically supporting him. And so when he left, I just kind of kept going. And so all of a sudden, I found myself working in investment marketing and building, basically our job was to build a network of stock exchange firms to sell these particular real estate investments. So I just all of a sudden went from, updating the books to traveling all over and educating all kinds of firms on these particular real estate investments. So after I worked there for a number of years, I was recruited by a company out of San Jose that knew that I had this knowledge of this network of brokers. So it's kind of like I knew sort of how to get in and get these deals done. And so this company hired me to work for them, and it was triple my salary that I had been getting. And I went to work there, and it was a great experience, I thought. And I got in there, and I started learning about this company. And I started figuring out what they were doing, and I won't mention their name, but it ended up being one of the largest fraud cases in the history of California, and one of the big 8 accounting firms lost their license over this. But anyway, I got in there and I started, because I had all my securities licenses by this time. So I started seeing what they were doing, and I was like, okay, this is illegal, like what you guys are doing. And, started figuring this out. And I had a whole team of people that worked underneath me. I had 4 people that, were under. And I was saying to them, you guys, this is called commingling of funds. They're taking investor money and they're putting it, pooling. I mean, we're talking like, this is way before Bernie Madoff, but we're not far away from that whole thing. And I'm like, 24 years old, and so everyone's like, I don't think so, Ann. And I'm like, no, you guys, literally, like, this is not okay. So anyway, I set up a meeting with the head of the company. These guys had been in business for decades. Most of their clients were like the San Francisco Giants, the 49ers. They had a lot of famous people and athletes were their clients. And so I went to the head of the company and I said, I'm sorry, but I really feel that what you're doing is not, kosher with the securities laws. And this man looked straight at me and he said, wow, okay, well, you would be wise to never tell anyone what you have learned here. And we did not think you were smart enough to figure this out.
Wow. Was that your last day?
So that was my last day. So I was like, so no, I mean, I was horrified because, and so I went back, I'll never forget, he was on the 4th floor. I went back down to our offices and I told my entire team, I gathered them together and I said, guys, like, this is what just happened to me, and this is not right here. And this young, he was, the same age I was at the time, but he's like, you're crazy to leave. We're making so much money here, and like, you'll never make this much money at your age. And I said, you know what, but it's wrong, and it's illegal. And I think he was like in my seat before my car left the parking lot. Like, he just couldn't wait to become the director of marketing at this company. And he ended up getting indicted. Yeah, it did not go well for him. But no, I mean, the principals in this company went to jail. And what was interesting was it was years later, because it takes forever, but was actually called to testify again. I mean, I actually kind of knew where all the bodies were buried, because again, I, had figured this thing out and then left and, vacuumed my hair sample. So when 60 Minutes came, it's like, so I was nowhere to be seen on that. And luckily, I never had my security. I was there such a short period of time. I never really, so I was out. But the moral of that story is, I mean, you've just got to stand up for what's right. You just absolutely, as you go through and you're building companies and building your career, you just have to you just have to. And so many people are like, oh, but we're making so much money, or, we're doing this. And it's just, I mean, again, I'm old. You look back over your life and like, those are the absolute right decisions. And you just have to do it. I mean, it doesn't matter, because again, you have to be able to look at yourself in the mirror. Those things will always catch up with you. Like this young man, I mean, his life was kind of ruined by stepping in and thinking that he was, he had a great deal, so.
So tell me about, then you knew what to look for, you saw it, and you made the right decision, and you exited. When's a time, whether it was absent data, but you made a decision based on gut instinct? Because I'm always fascinated, and I try to do this, is to listen to my interior voice and not what other people, like, I don't seek external validation or the conference of the masses. So when was a time where, absent data, you were like, this either feels right or wrong, and you acted on it?
So this was the next piece, and it's perfect because it segues exactly into this. So I sat there and went, wow, that was a really horrifying experience, but I'm glad I'm out. I did the right thing. And then I said, what do I do next? So do I go try to interview for another position in this field? And I said, the only way I can control being in an ethical position is to create my own company and to just start my own thing. And there was a gal that I had met at the prior job before this crazy San Jose gig happened. And so she and I started a consulting company because we had these skills. We knew how to market real estate investments. We knew how to raise investment capital. We had this huge nationwide network of contacts. And so we said, we can get together and form a consulting group, and we can choose who our customers are. We can sort of vet these people people, and we can determine who our customers are going to be and work with high quality, good, honest, hardworking people. And so the phone rang one day, and I got a call from an attorney in San Francisco who I had worked with for a long time in the real estate securities industry. And he goes, I've got this like crazy doctor from Modesto, and he's like trying to raise money to build a heart center in Modesto. And I'm like, well, that sounds kind of crazy. I don't even know where Modesto is. I think it's like, I don't even know. And so that's how I got here. So Steve had called this attorney to put together an investment partnership to build the cardiac cath center at Doctors Medical Center Modesto. So he hired Vicky's and my company to raise the money to build the heart center. So that's how I got
And that
out
crazy
here.
doctor's her husband.
Right, yeah.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
Wow, what an interesting. And do you see also, like, it's never a linear path?
No.
It's always twists and turns
Right.
and curves that you could never have expected.
Right.
But in hindsight, you're like, it all makes so much
Yeah.
sense looking back.
Yeah.
But, when
Yeah.
you're in it.
You never know where it's going to
You
lead
never
to.
know. So talk to us about how you evolved your career or pivoted or shifted or grew into, 1 minute you're doing real estate and commercial development and investments, and the next you're doing food and farming. And my favorite, and how I know you or first got to kind of experience Ann Endsley without maybe knowing you as well, was the spaces you create for people to gather, literally. So tell us how you went from this very, in my mind, sort of more scientific, data-driven, financial acumen to this much more creative.
Right. So, I love the business world and all that, but, my true passions are things like, gardening and cooking and traveling and all of that kind of thing. So when Steve and I got married, and we, to this day, still work on investment projects together, but what I love to do is entertain and do all that kind of thing. So we actually, when we built a home, and when we built it with the idea of having the community be able to use it. So what we did was we had all kinds, and many of you have been, to benefits and things like that. So I thought, oh my gosh, we're so blessed. We've, sort of, instead of playing golf, Steve bought real estate, which was, that's how we met. And so we kept doing that. And, so we really created a nice, sort of stable financial foundation. So my thought was, okay, we're pretty set. What can we do for the community? And so one of the things we can do is we can create a space at our home where nonprofits can have parties and different things, and we can, get people together and raise money to help this wonderful community that we live in. So kind of without really knowing it, I sort of started creating these brands. It really wasn't my initial intention. It was because we did all these things at our house, and some of you are in the room that, sat in my kitchen and chopped a million onions and made food and did flowers and, basically put these big sort of galas on at our home. And then I was kind of like, we could create a business out of this, and I could create lots of jobs. Because again, what gets me out of bed every morning is creating jobs and opportunities for people. So that's how we sort of went from doing some, 3 or 4 galas at our house to then, gosh, if we kind of formed this and did that, and then just different opportunities presented themselves, and we just started putting the operating businesses together.
I love that. I know that with Evan and Norm, they really valued their employees and the culture they created around just treating every employee like a lifelong learner and really investing in them. Whether they were on the front lines of the car wash business or in the office, everybody benefited from spending time at Prime Shine. So tell us about a project I know is near and dear to your heart, which is helping the formerly incarcerated and really focusing on people that may not find employment elsewhere because all the doors are closed, but you're doing the opposite. You're literally opening your doors.
So for all of us in this room, I mean, we're so blessed, right? I mean, we have opportunities, we're educated, so how can we not help those who have not had these opportunities? I mean, I just don't see how anyone can really turn their back. So my focus is just simply giving the ultimate respect to anyone. It doesn't matter. I mean, there for the grace of God go all of us. I mean, it's just simply circumstantial. And we're so lucky that we were born into a loving family and had opportunities. What if we weren't? How can we not lift everyone up? So in the room today, like, are people that have worked with me for many, many years, and all kinds of new people that I'm just starting to learn and work with. But the thing that has been the most important and frankly the most rewarding thing for me is we build a culture that's a family. So when we have a lot of these different crazy companies, but the first thing I tell people is your family comes first. Okay, many companies, and you know, when we were all sort of young, the 80s were hard because you had to show that you were tough and the women had to work harder and all that kind of thing. And I wish it hadn't been like that. And I think we're turning the corner, but I can't say enough in retrospect that if you have an opportunity to own a business, it's just imperative that you build a culture of love and trust and honesty, and it doesn't matter how everybody messes up. I raise my hand high every day and say, I make all kinds of mistakes, so please, if you make a mistake, just come forward. We'll surround you, we'll help you, you know, that it's a total family environment. And so it was just an absolute, you know, easy segue to start working with these amazing people who, you know, either are formerly incarcerated or just have had a really rough road, but are so grateful for the opportunity. And, you know, what I'm really trying to do now is get in front of as many people as I can and just, not just encourage, but almost beg people to just open your minds to giving these opportunities to these amazing people. Anyway, it's just something that I'm very obviously passionate about, and we just have to do.
Love that. Absolutely. Looking at Michael.
And there
in the
they are.
back. There's Michael Baldwin.
Can the
Do you see
folks
him?
from Legacy stand
Yes.
up? Because they're
Michael?
here. Yeah. Let's have the.
Woo!
Okay. Okay.
You want to say a little bit about
I just can't express. I really struggle with it, honestly, because there's almost no words. These men and women, what they have overcome, the incredible just perseverance and heart and soul that they have, the gratitude that they express, and how about the folks that work for my other entities? Let's have them stand up right now too, because I want to show you something. Okay. So this is what we do. Like, we create families, and like everyone's the same. And like, I don't have organizational charts in any of my businesses that are from the top down. They're all sideways, you know? I mean, we're all on the same level, we're all in the same boat, and every single person is as valuable as the next. And I can't tell you what a great culture it is and what an honor it is to work with all of you. Thank you all so.
That's awesome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so tell us, what is most rewarding right now for you? Where are you finding your joy? Where are you sourcing your joy these days?
So frankly, it's just watching all these people that stood up and all the others that couldn't be here, just every day coming to work, doing the best we can. Sometimes we just fall flat on our fannies and we look at each other, we're like, this is so hard. One of the things I want to say, especially to the students, is a lot of people say, oh, like what you touch turns to gold. You have no idea like how screwed up we have been and are, and I mean, it is not pretty. You know, there are like days where you just look at each other and you're like, that was horrific, I'll see you tomorrow. You know, I mean, this is not, you know, this is not like Disneyland, Pollyanna land. I mean, this is like really hard stuff. This is making hard decisions. This is like, you know, crazy things happen and you have to pivot. So anyway, but what really like just makes me want to get up every morning is just seeing the people that work with me grow, seeing them be able to take care of their families, and then having us, you know, the businesses have to be sustainable, obviously, but that then gives us the opportunity to make more positions available to people and just, you know, broaden the pool.
That is so great. Okay, one last question. And then I'm going to do the lightning round.
Okay.
What advice would you give to your younger self, to the 20-year-old Ann Furbush?
Yeah. By the way, it's F-U-R-B-U-S-H.
That's an amazing name.
Isn't that an
It's like a
incredible
70s
name?
rock band name. You see their hair?
It's a great name.
It's a great name.
It's a great name.
Let's bask in that name. Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead. 20-year-old.
Okay, so again, I'm old. I'm 63. So like when my 20-year-old self again was in kind of that like yucky time when, you know, it was, what do you do? What do you do? And so I would like, I wish in my 20s, instead of being worried about like what I did and what other people did, like what do you do, like when you're at a, you know, cocktail party or whatever, is who are you? You know, I wish and I hope that, you know, in our day and age now, we care more about who we are than what we do, because we're so much more than what we do. And so like these labels, you know, like you're the engineer, you're the artist, you're the good-looking one, you're the, you know, you've got a past, you've got a record. Like, who cares? Like, right? It's like, it doesn't really matter what we do and what we were. It's who are we now, you know? And so I wish my 20-year-old self had had that perspective, you know?
Don't you find that this generation that's in the audience right now, Bradon's generation, is wired already more like that? Like they genuinely
Yes.
see things differently.
Yes.
And I love that.
I love it too. And I think we are there. And I just think the more we can perpetuate that and not get hung up on the labels and the past and the records and the this and the that, I just think we'll be so much better off. Every day is a new day. You just get, we're so fortunate. Every day the sun comes up, you get a chance to start
Yeah.
again.
Yeah. Okay. Lightning round.
Okay. Uh-oh.
Your mantra in one sentence. 10 words or less.
Bring as many people with me as I can and be God's hands on earth.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Who would play you in the movie of your life story?
Oh, no.
I have an idea.
Lucille Ball. No, I don't know.
Nice.
I don't know.
I'm thinking Meryl Streep.
Meryl
Streep. I can see that. I'm not going to answer for you. Sorry.
Okay.
These
I
are
don't
your
know.
questions. What's a book you've read in the last few years that has inspired you?
Oh my gosh. Okay,
Do you
I've
read?
got a
You're so
deep
busy.
confession. Okay, so I'm looking at Lynn. I'm looking at people that like read and have these groups
Yeah.
and everything. Okay, this is my deal.
Cookbooks?
Well, cookbooks for sure. Like I read cookbooks. Okay, I am like, if I read a book at night, I have like 11 seconds before I'm out.
Yeah.
So I can read the foreword and maybe the inside like book jacket
Yeah.
cover. So I'm going to be completely honest. I haven't read a lot of books
Yeah, you're
recently,
too
but I
busy.
do read a lot of cookbooks. Love
Yeah.
cookbooks.
Which is good reading, by the way. People do read cookbooks.
Yeah.
Okay. What's your favorite dinner?
Oh, yikes. You know, just a roast chicken sometimes, right? Just a really good roast chicken.
I have a
is
feeling
good,
your
yeah.
roast chicken's way different than the Costco roast chicken. Probably like
Yeah, just
super
something
nice.
simple and
Yeah.
just really, and fresh and
Yum.
yeah.
Cat or dog?
Oh, dog. Yeah.
Chocolate chip or brownie?
Brownie.
Okay. And if you could pick, if you were a nun and could pick your own name, what name would you pick?
Sister Mary Furbush. No, I'm just kidding.
That is so good. I can picture her. On that note, I have nothing more to say.
Do you have any idea how happy I was to get married? I mean, like.
Sister Mary Furbush, do you have any parting words for the students in the room?
Oh my gosh, I just wish you all well. I mean, again, I think that we're all so lucky to be in this community. This is a wonderful, loving community. We have families like the Porges family and so many of you here. And I mean, I just think we're all really lucky to be here. And I encourage you to, you know, follow your dreams, but mainly I think to just be loving and kind. I just, you know, we can learn and we work hard. I'm kind of, you know, glossing over the fact that being an entrepreneur and being in business is a lot of hard work, but really I think, again, it's who we are. We have to be good people. We have to be able to look at ourselves in the mirror. We have to make the right decisions even though they may be hard. So I just encourage all of you to, you know, just follow your dreams. If you fall, you just get up and you keep running. I mean, you know, that's all pretty obvious things, but it's really true. Just keep running, but just be a good person. Bring everybody with you. Be a kind and loving and benevolent boss. Give people who may not have an opportunity the chance, because we had these chances. So many people don't. And we've just got to just reach our arms wide, go way out to the fringes, and pull in as many people as we can. And our community will be transformed. It really will.
Thank you.
We do have some more from the audience as well. And our first question, it's a great one. What piece of advice would you give to someone wanting to start a business during this time?
So it's tough right now, the economy, isn't it? Again, I think it's the same anytime, though, regardless of what's going on with the actual economy. I mean, I think that one of the most important things is to surround yourself with lots and lots of people, and don't be afraid to ask for help. I have found, especially in this community, that if you need help with anything at all, there's so many people that are willing to come and advise you. So I think one of the things we tend to do as an entrepreneur is think that we can do it all, and sometimes even think maybe we should do it all or should know it all. And I mean, one piece of advice I can give to everyone is that we absolutely do not know it all, and the best thing we can do is surround ourselves with people who are smarter than we are and who bring a lot to the table, and not be afraid of that. Sometimes we're like, oh my gosh, if I bring in people, I may lose control, or I may, somehow not be the top dog or whatever. Don't be the top dog. Surround yourself, create a family, create a culture of openness and ideas, and share ideas, and it'll be a really big benefit to your business going forward.
Try not to turn this into a podcast episode for those of you who are familiar with our podcast. You are known as an employer that hires individuals with lived experience in the criminal justice system. Once again, why do you do this? Why does it mean so much to you?
How can we not? What difference does it make? I don't see any difference. In fact, people who have had a rough time or made bad life decisions but turned their lives around and chosen to get their lives back on track, who could be a better employee? Who could be a better partner? And also for your own team, your team that existed prior to maybe you bringing in people who've had some lived experience. How great for them. I mean, it just, I really can't tell you how much everyone grows and benefits from this. There just shouldn't be a difference between any of us. We're all in there pitching together, irregardless of what our past might look like.
This is actually a wonderful question for many reasons, because someone here, a guest, was commenting to me something that's very in line with this question. And how do you successfully manage wearing so many hats while making such a tremendous impact on our community?
Okay, so same thing. Okay, so these people that stood up a few minutes ago, they carry tremendous, weight. And so, you, as an entrepreneur, when you're first starting, you have to kind of, again, build a culture where you're delegating, build a culture where you're trusting. So one of the things I always say is I hire hardworking people with great hearts. We can train people to do tasks. We can train people to do recipes and how to follow SOPs and how to do things that need to be done in order for a business to be successful. But if you hire people, irregardless of their background, their training, but they have a great heart and a great work ethic, you create a great culture, and we can all learn together. See, that's the thing. I mean, none of us have to know it all at once, but you start building the culture and everyone helps each other, and we all rise together, So you can have a lot of different things going on because you've delegated the responsibility to your top managers, and then those people are mentoring the people below them, and before you know it, you've built all these companies. We have a lot of companies and we do a lot of different things, but we have competent, hardworking, wonderful people with great hearts in all of the positions, making each one of those little machines work.
This is such a treasure. These questions are wonderful. I hope you enjoyed these.
Okay, great.
How important is it to have a mentor to grow as a leader?
So important, and go find them. And by the way, they're out there. There's lots of times I don't know what the heck I'm doing. So I find someone who maybe even knows a little bit more, and then you start building and growing and building those contacts. And don't be afraid, like I said earlier, to ask people and to ask for help, because And especially in this community, I have found so many people who are willing and frankly love giving their advice. If you go to someone, people love to be asked for their advice and guidance. So if you go to someone and say, can you help me with this? Like, thinking about this idea and I don't know if it's gonna work, and surround yourself with mentors and advisors, and don't be afraid to do that. It's not a sign of weakness. I think a lot of times people feel like it might be a sign of weakness to ask for help or ask for advice, but it's actually a profound show of strength, because you're saying, I'm humble, I don't know everything, I'm coming to you for advice, and then everyone can help each other grow together.
So I can feel the sentimentality. I'm telling you. Was I right or was I right? This is a wonderful question as well. Anne, you referenced this earlier in your fireside chat. How do you feel women can best develop their leadership skills at this time in history?
So it's better, I think, ladies. I think we're in a better time than we certainly were, when I, like 30, maybe almost 40 years ago, yikes. Because I think women are more just sort of accepted, I guess, in the workplace. But I will say this for moms. So as you look back, make sure you put, and dads too, but I mean, let's face it, it kind of comes down to a mom thing sometimes, unfortunately. But we've just got to put our families first. So don't be afraid to do that. I mean, because those years are so precious. I'm going to raise my hand high and say that, I thought when I was younger and working, because I've always worked pretty much, and thought that I was modeling excellent work ethic, modeling excellent, teaching my kids how to serve the community. But if you talk to my kids, one of them's here, two of them aren't, but if you interviewed my kids, they'd be like, we're abandoned children. I'm like, I don't think so, but we had to wait in the car while you were in meetings, so yeah, it didn't work out so good. No, I mean, there really is, it's just so important. I mean, go to those games, make the recitals. I mean, spend that time, sit at the table and have dinner, that type of thing. So I think, unfortunately, women, we do carry that burden a little bit more, but, I think it's really important to have that work-life balance, but I just feel like women really can mostly have it all, but just, and dads too. The family really should come first. The work's always going to be there. The kids grow up and go away, and you just have kind of a short period of time to capture all that.
This is a wonderful question that you can just... This is a wonderful question. You can sometimes really feel the strength of the emotion and in the handwriting as well. Where do you often find yourself seeking strength, wisdom, and guidance when things get tough and you are feeling clueless?
Wow. So I do have a deep faith, and I do put a lot of faith. I turn things over to God a lot. I just say, God, I don't know what's going on. Like, here I am. I don't know. Tell me what I need to do next. Put something in my path that gives me direction. So I kind of go more towards a spiritual sort of thought and spend quiet time trying to sort of try to figure out what to do next. And it never fails me because, I feel like if you're open and your heart is open, things are put in your path. And if you're willing to just sort of accept those and sometimes just take a leap of faith, it's just, it's off of just a cliff with a black hole at the bottom. I mean, you don't always know, you really don't. But and again, it goes back to if what you're making the decision to do the right thing, or if you're doing something for someone else, or if you're doing something to serve, that is the right thing, So I think a lot of it is kind of putting ourselves back to some extent, opening ourselves and then seeing how can we best serve others tends for me to focus me on what I need to do next. So it kind of comes about that way for me.
I heard you reference this so gracefully in your fireside chat, and I think it's a very important question for all of us to ponder, but for you to answer. Based on your successes and failures, what advice would you give this next generation?
I think, again, follow your dreams, but find your passion and in your work, but also just in your life in general, you know, because work is important for sure, and we have to support ourselves, and we have to, you know, earn a living and all that kind of thing. But I think like it sort of goes back to not what you do, but who you are. So I encourage you to really focus on that piece, because who you are carries with you through each job and the ups and the downs and changing careers and going from one place to another. But who you are just really sticks with you. It sounds very simplistic, but it's a pretty simple concept if you just, you know, kind of plan your life and work hard and take advantage of opportunities. And but I think just really paying attention to the person that you are, what you do for others, and how you serve those around you, I think that will really help you have a very, very rich life, you know.
This one cuts straight to the business acumen and philosophy at the same time. What strategies have you found useful to promote inclusion in the workplace?
So again, I think it's trusting your team. You know, you build your teams, and then you have to trust them to execute. And, you know, again, it goes back, again, can you tell? It's like one big circle. It goes back to the compassion piece and to the understanding piece. Because, okay, so you trust your team, you trust someone to execute something. Let's say it goes horribly wrong, like it's a just huge catastrophe. So, you know, instead of, a lot of times people are very punitive in business, like if things go wrong, people get fired, you know, horrible things happen. But just think how much more powerful it is when things go wrong to then be like, okay, that was horrific, that really sucked, like that was bad, like you know, that did not work out well. So let's sit down, analyze what went wrong, come up with solutions, and then again, grow together and learn together, lift each other up, and then it's okay, again, sun's coming up again tomorrow, let's try that again, you know. So I think that's, you know, just a better way to go about things, by all working together. Because let's face it, like life is really hard, work is really hard, creating companies is really hard, and there's always going to be huge problems, and we just have to, you know, kind of help each other get through those.
How can you turn your career dreams into reality?
It's a lot of hard work, and a lot of times, one thing I do want to say, and I think it speaks to it with this question, is a lot of times you have a vision and you think, oh my gosh, I'm on this path, I've got this idea, I know exactly what to do, I'm surrounding myself with people that can help make it happen. And then you kind of get set in that, and then maybe something happens. And sometimes people aren't willing to pivot. And I think it's really important to be able and be open-minded enough to pivot from what your dream was. Because while your dream might be this today, things might happen that really, if you were open-minded about it and willing to look at other alternatives, your dream actually might be over there, not over here. And so I think being open-minded enough to realize that maybe you need to adjust things as you go is really something important. Because sometimes I watch people get really stuck on something, and then in the end it maybe doesn't work out because they weren't willing to be flexible to adjust to circumstances that might have changed. So they feel like they didn't reach their dream, but actually if they had just kind of maybe jogged to the left and then the right and then jumped over something, they might have actually gotten to a better dream than they thought they were on the path for before. So.
What kind of goals or systems were the most useful to you?
So the way I kind of functioned always was to start, you have to start somewhere, and that's like that leap of faith piece. So, you know, certainly in most industries, there are sort of best practices and best standards, and you can go look at best practices in other similar organizations. So I think that's a great place to start. Always go look for something as close to what you're trying to do or start as you possibly can and get those best practices. But what I found is that you kind of have to write the book as you go. But it is important, first of all, to get all of those things written down so that the team is all on the same page. That is very important. I mean, there's a lot of really good fundamental things that we learn as we go through that do need to be documented so that everyone kind of knows what the goals are. One of the things I always kind of do is with my teams is we agree on the goal, but I think it's important to let your team, so the way I always say it, and they're all gonna laugh when I say it, they've heard me say it so many times, but like, we need to get from point A to point B. I don't care if you crawl, I don't care if you go on a pogo stick, I don't care if you roll on your side, I don't care if you do cartwheels, but we all have to get there by 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. You know, so however you best get there, go nuts, you know what I mean? And so I try to like not micromanage how they get to point B by 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, but we all need to get there. But I think it's important to recognize some people work differently. Some people need to be managed. Some people would rather not be managed. So I think, you know, keeping systems is very important, but then having the ability to back off a little bit as an owner manager and allow people to get there. As long as we all get there successfully together, we're good, you know.
Peter Drucker said that culture eats strategy for breakfast. I feel like I'm doing the podcast thing. I feel like I'm doing that. Will you be on our podcast just while I have your attention?
We are doing a podcast
We're doing it?
together.
Fantastic,
Yeah.
fantastic, fantastic. That's an applause.
It's on the books, yeah.
Now, I can recognize the handwriting on this particular one, so you'll excuse me. It begins, can I come over? Also, are you familiar with Project Rebound? Sir Javon, you wrote this question. This is Sir Javon Dillon. Please stand up, Sir Javon. It wasn't you? You sent one of your agents for this? Represent. Good job. Okay, hi. Thank you. Can I come over? Also, are you familiar with Project Rebound?
So, no. Yes, you can come over. Anybody can come over. So, anyone can call me anytime. My door is open. So, I'm not, and I love chatting with people, and I'm happy to talk to anybody anytime. So,
We will arrange
super
for a warm
excited.
introduction.
And Project Rebound, no. So, come tell me about it. Hi. Oh. Amazing.
We're actually, I represent one of the members of the College Pro program in the College Pro
Amazing.
office. Hi, sorry.
Yeah.
And, yeah, that's one of the areas that we want to get more involved as well, is making sure that is an equitable program for
Amazing.
anyone who wants to be involved. But I might come over for food.
Oh, come over for food.
Well, it was a
no,
little
I'll come over, but I'd
decontextualized.
love
It's
to learn
simply
more
from over.
about that. So that sounds amazing, and thank you all, whoever's working on that. That sounds like an incredible project. Yeah, I'd love to learn more about it.
Thank you once again, Marianne Cannon, ladies and gentlemen, and Endsley. Thank you so much for sharing your story with all of us. At this time, I'd like to invite Provost Ogle to join us for the presentation of the Champions of the American Dream Medallion and the presentation of the inaugural Emerging Student Champion. Hayden, will you join us?
Isn't this cool? Again, Anne, thank you for this evening. Thank you for everything that you've done for this community, and congratulations.
Bradon Hoover, congratulations on behalf of California State University Stanislaus, the Warrior Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program, for being our inaugural 2024 Emerging Student Champion of the American Dream. We also have commendations. On behalf of the California State Senate, I'd like to honor you and Endsley for being selected by the California State University Stanislaus as their 2024 Champion of the American Dream honoree. You are to be commended for your outstanding community leadership and for making significant contributions to the Central Valley community, helping people live their best lives.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah.
Bradon Hoover, on behalf of the California State Senate, I would like to honor you for being selected by the California State University Stanislaus as their 2024 Emerging Student Champion of the American Dream. You're to be commended for your outstanding leadership and commitment to using your broad range of experience to elevate your peers by creating jobs and promoting education in your field.
I got too excited. Sorry for going down so fast. I did it again.
Please accept our congratulations and our profound gratitude for your dedication to fostering community and inclusiveness, and for your entrepreneurial vision and passion that has a profound and positive impact on countless lives. One more time, guys.